Amendment by Herrero. Mr. Herrero. Chair recognizes Mr. Herrero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I stand before you as an individual who supports a woman's access to health care, as well as an individual who is pro-life. And I offer this amendment because I believe that it establishes a better standard of care. And it does so by ensuring that a woman will receive the best medical care available, and that the care that she receives would be appropriate as to each woman individually. Specifically, the amendment would allow a doctor to give medical care by providing the best possible treatment under evidence-based practices, so that every woman receiving the medical care would be receiving the care specific as to her needs and her condition and her needs, if you will. Under the bill as written, it limits the dosage of abortion-inducing medication to a specific dosage. So it's a one-dosage-fits-all regimen. This amendment would allow a doctor to assess an individual woman and determine whether or not that FDA protocol is appropriate, and if not, rely on evidence-based information to administer a different dosage specific to that specific individual's circumstances. Specifically, the amendment would establish the better care by giving doctors the latitude that they would need to practice the best medicine for their patients. As mentioned, this bill would require, as written, the FDA label as the only regimen available to administering the prescription, and would prohibit a physician from utilizing any other method known as off-label protocol-based scientific medical evidence that currently is the standard medical practice utilized nationwide. The bill attempts to codify a standard of care that is outdated and no longer in use. Since this FDA label was approved 13 years ago, clinical studies have shown that the current best practices result in fewer complications and are more effective than the FDA regimen. Specifically, also in support of making sure that there is more of an individual assessment, the American Congress of OBGYN is concerned with the language in this bill as written because it feels that it would weaken the standard of care, the patient safety, and specifically threaten the doctor-patient relationship. HB2 would provide the doctors to follow a less effective, a more costly, and a procedure that ultimately could cause more detrimental side effects and potentially the loss of life of the mother. And as mentioned before, as someone who supports a woman's access to health care and as an individual who is pro-life, I would hate for us to save the life of a child with the intent of this bill, but yet somehow further risk the life of the mother. While HB2 has permissive language that would allow the doses amounts to be utilized based on the OBGYN Practice Bulletin guidelines as they existed on January 1, 2013. This alone, however, would be insufficient to allow a doctor to have the meaningful discretion to to be able to utilize the best practice of medicine. Therefore, this amendment would remove the mandate that would limit a physician to use only the FDA-labeled dosage and protocol, and also it would insert an added option of using evidence-based protocols for the inducing drug. The evidence-based protocols that are outlined in this amendment reflect the current best practices as nationally recognized by the American College of OBGYN. Additionally, this amendment lays out the requirements that would further ensure the safety of the mother. Specifically, the doctor would have to take additional measures that are currently outlined in this bill. The amendment would require doctors to take measures to ensure the safety of their patients in the event of complications. It would also make sure that the doctors fully explain and inform their patients of the regimen outlined on the FDA label, as well as any differences or deviations in the treatment or prescription and the specific reasons why the physician deviated from the FDA-approved regimen. In addition, this amendment would also require the doctor to obtain the written consent from their patient and acknowledging that the patient has received the appropriate information. With this amendment, a physician would have the ability to offer the best quality of care and ensure the health and safety of Texas women. Under circumstances, as we talked today about, there are some doctors here on the House floor, and I am not one of them. And I don't think that we should rely on what we think is best and instead rely on what best evidence practices have proven to be more useful, more effective, safer, and more helpful. And for that reason, I would ask that we not establish legislatively a mandate of a one dosage fits all on an issue that is so important when we are trying to save lives. Let us not risk the life of mothers because we are mandating a specific one dosage fits all. And for that, members, with that intent, I ask for your support of this amendment and I move for passage.
Madam Speaker, Representative Gonzalez. Will the gentleman yield for a question? Do you yield?
I yield.
He yields. Representative Herrero, you voted for SB1 the first time, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you're probably going to vote for it this time, correct?
I am considering, I'm taking into consideration the amendments. I am pro-life, and I want to make sure that we protect the life of an unborn child. I also want to make sure that we have access to health care that is good standard of health care for women. And in weighing those options, I still remain pro-life and feel that there's a way to try to work those issues in a way that I will be able to support the bill again. And I intend, if things stay as they are, that I would support the bill as written as well. But I'm trying to do some things here to help save the lives of individuals, women specifically, that are requiring access of care in a very crucial time.
Definitely. So basically, even though you're pro-life, you find opportunities for us to make a better policy decision when it comes to this piece of legislation.
Yes, that's right. I mean, at this point, we're legislating that a specific dosage is going to be administered to everyone across the board, regardless of what their specific health condition may be at the time of this procedure. And it is difficult for me to accept that proposition because I know that in just myself receiving treatment, the medications differ from that when it's administered to someone else. And I think that it's best left to the decision of the evidence-proven facts that establish what that dosage should be for an individual person as opposed to us as legislators dictating a specific dosage.
Well, I really respect the fact that you're trying to help make an important policy decision and still be in support of a pro-life decision. So thank you, Representative Herrero.
Representative Despatel raises a point of order. The gentleman's time has expired. The point of order is well taken and sustained. The chair recognizes Representative Laubenberg in opposition to the amendment.
Representative Herrero, I know you have really taken a good stand and position, and I respect that so much. I have to respectfully table your amendment. Ideally, if all the abortion providers were OB-GYN trained in that field, you could justify their decisions. Unfortunately, that is not the case, which is why we have the FDA protocol standards, which is why we did put in there that the dosage amounts could vary based on the college of the OB-GYNs that's been a long day, pardon me, members. So especially I am tabling this amendment. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Representative Herrero to close.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Mr. Wu, for what purpose?
Will the gentleman yield just
Do
for a
you
very
yield,
short
Mr.
question?
Herrero?
I yield.
He will yield.
Mr. Herrero, are you adding your amendment because you believe that the section of the bill that your amendment affects is overly broad and places an undue burden on a woman's right to control her reproduction?
I think there's a better way to do it that ensures access of health care to women while preserving the life of an unborn child in a safe and responsible way.
Do you believe that your amendment more narrowly tailors the bill while maintaining its original goal?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I ask for your support of this amendment. I think we need to make sure that in protecting the life of an unborn child, we do not also risk the life of a mother. I'm an individual who, as stated repeatedly, believe in the support of access to health care for women, and I'm pro-life. I ask that you stand with me and vote in support against the motion to table.
Mr. Herrero sends up an amendment. Ms. Lavenberg moves to table. The question occurs on the motion to table. The clerk will ring the bell. It is a record vote. Show Ms. Lavenberg voting aye. Show Mr. Herrero voting no. Show Mr. Guerin voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 93 ayes, 53 nays, the motion to table prevails. The following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.